Greetings in Jesus' name. This is Jacob Ninan from Bangalore, India. I am happy to bring you another message in the series Pointers Along the Way. These look at practical aspects of the Christian life and are sent out weekly, God willing, also through email, WhatsApp, and Facebook. You can read all my previous messages as well as articles and books on my website called Comfort and Counsel at www.c-n-c.org. May the Lord bless you as you read or listen. If you wish, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and also tell others about it. This is pointer number 809 and it's called Imperfect Servants of God. Every one of God's servants on earth is imperfect. We know things only in part. 1 Corinthians 13:9. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. Yet we imagine what we do is right. Proverbs 21:2. Every man's way is right in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the hearts. We make many mistakes. James chapter 3 verse 2. For we all stumble in many ways. And even though we think we can see other people's faults clearly, actually we are not able to see our own faults. Matthew chapter 7 verse 3. Why do you look at the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Our bigger problem is, when someone tries to help us by pointing out our mistakes, we reject them and justify ourselves instead of becoming wiser. Proverbs 12:15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man is he who listens to counsel. Just to take an example, look at Samson, who defeated the Philistines and delivered Israel from them. His major fault was that he had a weakness when it came to women. Do we look at his weakness with women and overlook his work for God? That is one possible unbalanced view from our side. Another unbalanced view from Samson's side may have been to look at his victories over the Philistines and overlook his weaknesses with women. But the overall fact is that he did many great things for God, which God recognized by naming him in the list of the heroes of faith in Hebrews 11. It is not that God ignored Samson's weaknesses either. I think God recognizes that all of his servants are going to be imperfect, because that's the only kind he can get. And he is prepared to accept us with certain limitations. What he looks for is a devotion to him from all our heart, mind, and strength. He disciplines his servants so that we can go towards perfection. Hebrews 12:10. For they disciplined us for a short time as seemed best to them, but he disciplines us for our good, so that we may share his holiness. It is sad if, when we receive a correction, we reject it right away. There are several reasons why we do it. We may think of the ways God has used us and imagine that it is a sign of God being well pleased with us. So we may think that all these accusations that are coming are from the enemy and reject them. Another reason why we reject correction is because we think the person who is pointing out a mistake has no right to correct us because we are far ahead of him spiritually and in ministry. We can also attribute corrections to the devil trying to hinder the great work we are doing, or to people who are jealous of our accomplishments. Paul was able to recognize that he knew only in part and that there was much left to learn yet. 1 Corinthians 13:9. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. James was humble enough to admit openly that there was no one who did not make any mistakes. James chapter 3 verse 2, for we all stumble in many ways. Peter, who was the chief of the apostles before Paul came along and overshadowed him, admitted that there were things Paul wrote which he could not understand. 2 Peter 3:15, just as also our beloved brother Paul, according to the wisdom given him, wrote to you, as also in all his letters, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to understand. If we want to become wiser, we should be willing to receive correction, irrespective of the standing of those who correct us. The question to ask is not who they are to correct us, but only if what they are saying has some truth in it. Even if some of it is not correct, that does not mean that it is altogether wrong or that they have some ulterior motive in saying it. The bottom line, none of us knows it all, and we all need to keep learning. Let us be humble in receiving correction and admitting our mistakes. May the Lord bless you in your life as you have listened to these words. Thank you.